It's Sunday night and TakeOver WarGames. We are live, man. I don't know, man. I wasn't as impressed as other people were with this show tonight. Not to say that it was a bad show, but I think we have to start the yearly discussion. Is WarGames really necessary on a yearly basis? The answer is no. It is not. We got two WarGames matches tonight. One headline by the ladies, one headline by the men. Pat McAfee and his team, the Kings of NXT, battle the Undisputed Era. And Team Candice LeRae versus Team Shotzi in what I thought was the better of the two WarGames matches for one particular reason. We're going to go over that tonight, man. Plus everything that happened on WarGames. Right here on the NXT TakeOver WarGames post-show. On the only post-show you guys need on your Sunday night. This is Off the Script. What is going on, guys? Thank you so very much for joining me right here on the Off the Script TakeOver post show. It is December 6, 2020, man. TakeOver WarGames 2020 is in the book. And I don't want to be negative, man. I really don't want to be negative. First of all, I didn't even want to come on here and do this. To be brutally honest with you guys, TakeOver has not been the same since the pandemic started, man. TakeOver has not been the same. No matter how WWE wants to disguise it, no matter what WWE wants to do to make things feel normal, TakeOver is not the same. And I'm not just going to zing NXT on that either. AEW shows have not been the same either. Their weekly television shows have not been the same. Their pay-per-views have not been the same. I said it since the pandemic started and when we were still having shows in the middle of the pandemic back in April, May. I feel like NXT and AEW need the fans and the energy more than Monday Night Raw and SmackDown. That's just the way I feel. It's no secret that I haven't been watching NXT on a weekly basis, and rightfully so. There really isn't anything about the brand that is driving me to watch on a week-to-week basis. There really isn't. Listen, I love Tommaso Ciampa. I love Johnny Gargano. I think Damien Priest is fucking awesome. I think Dexter Lumis is the next big thing in WWE if they know what the fuck they're doing down there. Cameron Grimes is great. Finn Balor is the NXT champion. I think Finn Balor has had, minus the injury, I think Finn Balor has had a great run in NXT, and this is the Finn that we should have seen on the main roster. Karrion Kross is fantastic. He's set to be back any week now after a teaser tonight. I wouldn't even bring him back to NXT. I'd put him right to the main roster and have him debut in the Royal Rumble. But that's just me. Pete Dunne is great. Adam Cole is probably one of my favorite wrestlers in all of WWE. There really isn't anything about NXT that is really driving you to watch the weekly show. And the talent has absolutely nothing to do with it. The women's division is easily, by far and away, the best women's division in all of the world. And I give props to Triple H and his team for vastly changing that women's division where we were looking at a possibility of it being a weak link in NXT. And it has been a weak link. But when you add Ember Moon, and you add Toni Storm, and you build new characters, you build new faces like Raquel Gonzalez, and you bring Dakota Kai up to that level that we all know she should be. Candice LeRae gets more TV time. Io Shirai is the queen of that division. You got others to fall in line and fill out their roles. It's not difficult to think that NXT's women's division is the best in the world. They have things going for them. They have some of the best talent in the world, period. But the one thing NXT is missing, and I know everybody watching me tonight can attest to this, is the fact that no matter how much talent is in and around NXT, it is the storylines that have brought the brand down. It is the lack of consistency that has brought the brand down. It is the main roster influence. I don't know what's going on backstage. I don't know what's going on with the inner workings of NXT, but I feel like something is not right. I feel like there's just way too much main roster influence kind of seeping its way into the veins of what made NXT so special. It's not cool anymore. It's not must see. It's not go out of your way to watch television anymore. And the takeovers haven't really felt like takeovers. And again, I'm not only blaming them for that. Nothing's felt the same. AEW hasn't felt the same. Takeovers haven't felt the same. But I'm going to put everybody in the same boat. When you're emanating out of the same building every single week, and then you have your special events, your takeovers, your pay-per-views in that same building every single month, or in this case, every single other month, like TakeOver, or every quarter, like AEW, it gets tiresome. And I don't know how much I could really say I enjoy the show. It's a good show. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you that this show rivaled all the other takeovers that we've seen. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that these WarGames matches rivaled all these other WarGames matches that we were showcased in the years prior. What made WarGames this year unlike all the other years? And I mean that in a negative way. The building. NXT in general as a whole, not really being the brand that we all fell in love with. It's taking a deep dive, and I just accidentally hit a key. Sorry about that. Live on YouTube, man, anything can happen. But there are a variety of reasons why we have TakeOver and NXT in this state of mind that we see it right now. The two WarGames matches were really great tonight. I'm not going to take anything away from anybody that worked in those matches tonight. Everything in between, the sandwich. You got the bread. You got the women's and the men's. Bookending this show. And then you got the meat in the middle. The meat in the middle really didn't mean much of anything. It was only what happened in the beginning and what happened at the end. And we were just waiting for all of this to just end at the end of the night. There's a reason why I enjoyed the ladies' match more so than I did Pat McAfee and his Kings of NXT over Undisputed Era. There's a reason why I thought the women's WarGames match was better than the men's WarGames match for one specific reason. It is because there are stakes on the line. in that match. They might not have been apparent in that match. They might not have been present to you. But when I look at the women's division, I look at all of those women fighting for superiority in that division, even after this show is over. What exactly did we need the men's match for? Why exactly was this match booked? The men's match was booked, folks, for one reason and one reason only, and that's because WWE, for some reason, has yet to call up the Undisputed Era to the main roster, and instead of selling this pay-per-view without them, Triple H said, well, they're not going anywhere as of yet. Again, I don't know the reason for that. Maybe Triple H held them back. Maybe there was a discussion made that they were not needed on the main roster. I mean, why the fuck would you want the Undisputed Era on the main roster anyway? Just look at everybody else that has failed on the main roster. Keith Lee, Matt Riddle, soon to be failing on the main roster. The guy looks like a fucking geek. Keith Lee has done absolutely nothing on the main roster. I don't know what's going on there, but the only reason why this match was booked was because the Undisputed Era was still on NXT. And if the ladies are having a WarGames match, then the men are going to have a WarGames match. The Undisputed Era are known to be WarGames veterans. But throughout all the year, did WWE really build up another group of individuals, another group of heels in this case, on weekly television to really come together and join forces to battle the Undisputed Era? Did any of these heels really push the Undisputed Era to their brink of not being the leaders of NXT? No. There was nobody else. All WWE did all year long was think. They had the mentality of, how can we stop AEW? What can we do to combat AEW? And in the middle of all this for months, WWE had kind of neglected the one thing that brought them to the table with NXT. Long-term storytelling. I want you to think back to all the other WarGames matches, man. We knew what was going to happen come November. The last two Novembers, we knew who the Undisputed Era were going to be in the ring against, whether they were heels, what baby faces they were going to go up against. This year, they were the baby faces. They went up against the heels. We knew months in advance what was going to happen, who they were going to be in the ring with. This year, WWE didn't build up any other individuals as a foursome until a month ago. And then an injury to Ridge Holland happened. And then those plans got shifted a little bit. And WWE had to bring in Plan B, which was Pete Dunne. And Team Pete Dunne with Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch. And then bring in Pat McAfee. Because realistically, who else was feuding with the Undisputed Era that made headline attention? You ain't going to put the Undisputed Era in a WarGames match with Oney Lorcan, who WWE hasn't pushed at all up until a couple of months ago. Danny Burch, same thing. Pete Dunne, who's been out all year. Who exactly is going to lead them into WarGames? The one guy that Adam Cole feuded with this year that had the biggest name that Adam Cole has been in the ring with this year was Pat McAfee. To me, that's not what sells WarGames. To me, what WWE did with the men's side of WarGames was last minute. To me, what WWE did with WarGames on the men's side was pretty much a last-ditch effort. And they just did WarGames for the sake of doing WarGames because they had to fill out the rest of this card with another men's WarGames match. I want you guys to think, and this is the way I think about this shit. I'm not saying anything bad about the match. All 8 of those guys absolutely killed themselves. Pat McAfee was another night of just greatness. I want you guys think about Pat McAfee. What if Pat McAfee didn't come back? What if Pat McAfee couldn't come back? What was actually going to happen? What exactly do you think was going to happen here? And what does this match mean for the current state of NXT? What does this mean? Where does the Undisputed Era go after this? They've legitimately done everything that they could possibly do in NXT before this match actually concluded tonight. Where exactly do they go? What does this mean for the Undisputed Era? They're main roster bound, whether you or I or anybody like it or not. So what exactly does this mean? How long does Pat McAfee plan to be in NXT? What exactly does him being in this role mean for everybody else? If Pat McAfee lost tonight, then what happens to the other three guys that he's been leading for the last couple of weeks? If they win, where do they go? What exactly did this match mean to the overall general state of NXT? I'll give you guys one simple answer to that question. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. The women, on the other hand, I could see Io Shirai being pinned tonight, play into a role where Raquel Gonzalez gets a future women's championship match. You got Ember Moon, who wants Io Shirai. You got Ember Moon, who's feuding with Toni Storm because Toni Storm turned on Ember Moon to join Team Candice. They got a little feud possibly happening in the weeks to come. Candice wants another shot at Io. Dakota Kai wants another shot at that women's championship. Shotzi Blackheart is the one that WWE is pushing to the fucking moon in that division. That's why they gave her team captain over Io Shirai, the women's champion. There's a lot of moving parts there. What exactly did the men's match mean to NXT? Nothing. Nothing. Which begs the question, does WarGames need to happen on a yearly basis? I didn't think this the last couple of years. But with NXT really walking that thin line creatively that is more on the side of main roster-ish, I honestly think it's the time we start discussing if WarGames needs to happen on a yearly basis. What happens when Undisputed Era makes it to the main roster? What other faction has ever existed in NXT? It's easy to put 4 baby faces and 4 heels together. It's very simple. It's the old school Survivor Series method, but it's not going to really mean anything. And WWE didn't even make this year's WarGames match mean anything because what exactly was on the line? What exactly was on the line? Just take last year, for example. The entire era of Undisputed Era, they had all the championships. It was the glue that became unglued for the Undisputed Era. One by one, they started losing their championships. It all started with that match last year. It all started with the air raid crash from Tommaso Ciampa off the top rope to Adam Cole through the table and him being hugged by Keith Lee at the end. That pretty much set everything off. It was the turning of the tides for the Undisputed Era and their dominance in NXT. What exactly did this match mean? This match meant nothing. For all we know, they'll be main roster bound next year. For all we know, Pat McAfee is done. This is all he was brought in for, to lose to Adam Cole. But the women, they had more to fight for. I think it's really a good discussion between everybody. Does WarGames need to happen every single year? And after this year and after what we watched tonight, I don't think it needs to happen every single year. I don't give a shit about WWE selling this consistent pay-per-view schedule. Oh, every December we need WarGames. No, we don't. WarGames should matter, and WarGames should happen when WarGames is important. WarGames is in the same category now as Hell in a Cell. WWE is using WarGames to fill a void in the TakeOver pay-per-view schedule because every November, and now it will be every December, we got WarGames. Every December comes around, we got WarGames. WarGames should be a match that is put in place at a pay-per-view because there is internal struggle. There's a turmoil within the brand that needs to be settled in such a match. Just like Hell in a Cell doesn't need to be every year. You're not going to do Hell in a Cell every year and make it feel important when it comes every October. Let's put Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton inside Hell in a Cell when it actually doesn't need to be inside Hell in a Cell. Let's put Roman Reigns and Jey Uso inside Hell in a Cell when we all know that fucking match didn't need to be inside Hell in a Cell. They could have done everything in that match without the Hell in a Cell. Every single year, And you guys know Seth Rollins and Bray Wyatt did not need to be inside Hell in a Cell. How many matches did not need to be inside Hell in a Cell? I think after this year, we should start discussing why NXT WarGames is a thing yearly. It's going to get to that. And then you're going to reference this video, and a year from now, you're probably going to be looking back and say, you know, JD was right all along. He did say that WarGames should not be a thing annually, and it kind of hit the fucking ceiling in 2020. That's just the way I feel. I really do feel that way. And again, I don't want you guys to misconstrue me with thinking that this was a bad show. This was a good show tonight. I'm not saying anything about this. I'm not saying anything about it being a bad show. All I'm telling you is that NXT has hit its creative ceiling. That ceiling has been vastly lowered this year, and they are just running through the creative motions in 2020. I'm not sure if they've given up. I'm not sure if they're influenced by other beings or other sources. I don't know. But all I know is WarGames should be in discussion heavily for NXT. And the question is, should it happen next year? That's just my take on it. Let me know what you guys think about that. And let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Thank you guys so very much for joining me on the post show, man. Those are my opening thoughts for TakeOver. We're going to go over what happened tonight. And I thank you guys for joining me in the chat. We got 1,100. It's like a typical Wednesday night, man. It's like a typical Wednesday night here on the podcast. Not much traction going into TakeOver, but it's NXT. And I'm not surprised that AEW blew everybody's expectations out of the water this year, man. They were all excited about AEW and everything else WWE related. You know, I could look at the stats, I could look at the viewership, I could look at the analytics, man. I know when things are big, and I know when things are not big. And AEW was big. AEW was big this week. Monday Night Raw, SmackDown, and tonight probably won't even equal the total amount of viewership that I had on my channel with that AEW Dynamite post show. That goes to show you that people want good television. And what we're not getting with WWE is good television. But I thank you guys for joining me in here anyway, man. We got 1,100 strong, 345 likes. Super chats are open. So make sure you guys get your super chats in. Hoot Media. I'm not sure if Hoot Media is sleeping or if Hoot Media is in the chat. But Hoot Media, are we number one? I think Hoot Media is awake. I'm not really sure. Hoot Media might not be awake, man. Anyway, I know they hear me, but I think we're number one tonight. So if Hoot Media is alive, let me know if we're number one tonight in the chat. Again, thank you guys so much for joining me. At JD from NY206 on Twitter and Instagram. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on that bell for all notifications, man. Shout out to all the Patreons that have re-upped to the Tier 1 and Tier 2, man. Go and sign up for the annual Patreon subscriptions, man. You guys can get the exclusive Are We Alive t-shirt, and you guys can get this beauty, man. The baseball bat mug, the baseball bat beer mug of Off the Script right now in Tier 2 of the Patreon page. That is patreon.com/JD from NY206. Make sure you guys go and sign up and get these exclusive items only available on Patreon. Thank you guys so much for signing up as always, and it's going to be there all holiday season, so go and take advantage of that. If you missed Off the Script on Saturday, we talk about the entity known as Bruce Pritchard, man. Almost a 45-minute rant. A very direct, very calm rant about Bruce Pritchard and how he is the true cancer that is WWE creative, and he is everything that is wrong with WWE. It's easy to blame Vince McMahon, but Bruce Pritchard is the one. So if you guys missed that and why the actual roster is frustrated with Bruce Pritchard, go and check that out. Link is down below in the description of this very video. If you guys want to go and get your masks, mouthmasker.com/OTS. Go and get your masks. The black mask is still in stock on Mouthmasker. If you want your t-shirts, bonfire.com is the exclusive home of Off the Script and everything else that you need merchandise-wise for the podcast and the channel. That is bonfire.com. Link is down below in the description. Make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. Let's try for 750 thumbs up on the live stream before we get on out of here for the night, man. And today's show is sponsored by the one and the only Blue Chew, BlueChew.com. That is BlueChew.com, and use code JD at checkout for your free sample, man. You're not going to need Blue Chew on this type of night, but come tomorrow, you're definitely going to need some Blue Chew, man. BlueChew.com, code JD, and I want to thank them for supporting and sponsoring tonight's NXT TakeOver post show on Off the Script. Let's start at the top, man. We started off, and they made the announcement on the pre-show that WarGames would start off with the women's WarGames match. This was Team Shotzi. Team Shotzi, led by Shotzi Blackheart, Io, Shirai, Ember Moon, and Rhea Ripley, who is bound to make her main roster debut any minute now, against Candice LeRae, Dakota Kai, Toni Storm, and Raquel Gonzalez. Now, I said I enjoyed this match more than I did the men's match. I thought this was a brutal match. I thought all of the ladies killed it. I thought that this match was perfectly timed. I thought that this match did not overstay its welcome. I thought that this match had much more meaning than the men's match. And you roll that up into one big package, into one big present. You put a nice little bow tie on it. That, to me, makes it better than the men's. That, to me, makes it more important than the men's match. No matter what anybody thinks, that's my opinion. Ember Moon and Dakota Kai started this thing. Both had a very nice brawl for about 5 minutes. Now you guys know the rules. Every 5 minutes, or 5 minutes, the opening, the first two entrants in this match, they go at it. And then every 3 minutes thereafter, the buzzer goes off and then somebody else comes in. Until all of the individuals in this match are in, and then the match actually begins. So we got Ember Moon and Dakota Kai going at it for 5 minutes, with Dakota Kai getting in some really good offense on Ember Moon. Right before the next member came in, Dakota landed a chiropractor on Ember. Team Shotzi had the advantage because I believe Shotzi defeated Candice LeRae, if I'm not mistaken, in a match. Or Raquel Gonzalez, I believe it was. One or the other, in a ladder match. So Shotzi was the one to enter for her team as the number 3 entrant. Shotzi took it to Dakota. She netted the ring with a toolbox, and she came into the ring with the toolbox because why the fuck not? She went underneath the ring. She took a toolbox out. She throws it into the ring. It's WarGames. Why not? So Dakota was not looking, Dakota was here, and she was in a 2-on-1 advantage. She was not looking good. Shotzi with the nice snap suplex against the turnbuckles on Dakota. Ember and Shotzi had a nice double team move. Missile dropkick off of the shoulders of Ember on Dakota. Then in comes Raquel Gonzalez, who we all know is paired already with Dakota Kai. Shotzi and Ember left Dakota and went 2-on-1 on Raquel because the bigger woman. Let's take her out. We already got Dakota Kai kind of neutralized. Let's go and double team Raquel Gonzalez, who's the biggest woman in the match. You could tell how high WWE management is on Raquel Gonzalez just by the way she's booked. She's been booked very strong on WWE television. And I will say this, man, I know I'm not alone in this situation. When I looked at Raquel Gonzalez early on, I didn't see much there. I thought she was just another face, another big woman, another dominating figure, another Tamina Snuka is the best way for me to put it. But WWE has done something really good with Raquel Gonzalez on NXT, and they made her into a legit threat. And they built her entire character very nicely to a point where I actually enjoy watching her work. I think she plays her role perfectly. And she's just not another big woman like a Nia Jax or a Tamina Snuka that doesn't have much talent. She knows what she's doing in there. And she's learning, and I see that, and I actually appreciate that. So Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai are in there. They're double teaming because they are an actual tag team here. So Raquel and Dakota, they were double teaming Ember and Shotzi. Dakota and Raquel worked over Ember with a haluva kick and a power slam combination. Obviously, the power slam done by Raquel Gonzalez. Dakota springboarded with a double clothesline from one ring to inside the other on both Ember and Shotzi, which was a very nice spot. Rhea Ripley was the fourth woman to enter this match, or fifth woman, I should say. So Rhea Ripley was next, and Raquel Gonzalez and Rhea Ripley have a small history with each other. They are no strangers to each other after their great match a couple weeks back. Ripley, again, also no stranger to WarGames. She worked over Dakota with some quick offense. Ember Moon with a code breaker on Dakota. Shotzi with a code red on Raquel. Rhea Ripley goes for the toolbox that Shotzi Blackheart had brought in earlier and starts beating Dakota with a mini sledgehammer. I wonder who gave her that idea. And that was pretty much that. Ripley and Gonzalez then met in the middle of the entire structure where the metal beam separates both rings. They met there. So they started brawling with each other. All of a sudden, out comes Toni Storm. She's the next woman to enter this match. She went underneath the ring and grabbed kendo sticks. She came into the match and removed a top turnbuckle. She then started to nail Rhea Ripley with the kendo sticks. She then uncovered another turnbuckle pad to expose the steel. So clearly she had a plan in mind before entering the match. She Irish whipped Rhea into one of the exposed turnbuckles. The heels were in complete control at this point. Toni and Raquel worked over Shotzi and Ember with kendo stick shots. All six women in the ring right now at this point in the match were in separate corners in WarGames. So the babyfaces did a double avalanche top rope spot out of the corner in both rings on the heels. Io Shirai came out next. She brings in a ladder. She throws a ladder into the ring. Raquel Gonzalez tried to lock the door to keep Io Shirai outside. So that was attempt number one. Io Shirai tried again, and Raquel just kept the front door of the cage closed. She forcefully held the cage closed. Io tries for a third time. She throws chairs and that ladder again in the ring. But Raquel, for a third time, keeps Io out of the ring. Toni Storm then took off her belt. She took off the belt that she was wearing, and she wrapped it around the inner portion of the cage, through the slots of the cage, and she locked the cage with her belt, keeping it closed. So Io tried to climb up the side of the cage, and Raquel kicked her away. Io could not at all enter this match. Candice was the last one to enter, who met Io on the outside, and they have a nice little history with each other. So it was Candice and Io staring themselves down. Io was not even in the match yet, but out of nowhere, Indy Hartwell came out of the crowd and blindsided Miss Io Shirai. So with Candice now in control here, we got the match actually, at this point, still not started. Io was still on the outside. So, with Io on the outside here, Candice was in the ring with kendo stick shots on Shotzi, Raquel with kendo stick shots on Rhea. The key to the cage was in possession of Indy Hartwell. It was now locked. They padlocked the cage. So, she was in possession of the key, and the heels were in control. At one point, Shotzi was surrounded with kendo stick shots by Candice, Dakota, and Raquel. It was literally a complete beatdown. Io Shirai then all of a sudden climbs the outside of the cage while nobody was paying attention. She stands on top of the cage. She puts a trash pail over her head. Her entire body is inside a trash can. She then dives off of the top of the cage and jumps onto everybody in the ring. Nonsensical, yes. Why it needed to happen, I don't know. Did it look good? Yeah. But it really didn't make Io Shirai look all that smart. I'm lucky she actually made that jump and nailed it as perfect as she did, not knowing where she was jumping because her body was it was inside a trash can. So she jumped off the top. Io was a difference maker in this match. Babyface started to make a big comeback because of Io's big offensive spot off the top. Io hit her a moonsault on Raquel when all of the babyfaces held Raquel down so Io could do the moonsault Only got a 2 count. Ember and Tony had a moment, but Candice interfered and got the Gargano escape on Ember. Shotzi applied a Muda Lock on Toni Storm, and both submissions were applied at the same time. Shotzi started to swing a kendo stick, but was taken out by Dakota. Dakota hit a double stomp on Io off the top rope, and Io was actually inside a trash pail for a second time, with Dakota coming off the top and doing that double stomp. So Ember threw Toni into the steel cage. They're going to have a match sooner or later. Ember worked on Dakota now, placed her on 2 steel chairs, and this was probably my favorite spot of the entire night. Ember Moon delivered an unbelievable eclipse onto the 2 steel chairs on Dakota Kai. Storm came from behind and broke up that pin. She then put Storm Zero on Ember, but Io broke up that pinfall. Io and Rhea then set up a ladder and draped it over the bottom rope through both rings. So this ladder was touching actually both rings underneath both bottom ropes here. Shotzi and Candice had a 6 spot where Shotzi jumped off a ladder for a senton, but Candice grabbed the chair and deflected the move. Shotzi looked like she got fucked up on that. In the end, Io Shirai was up top with Raquel Gonzalez. I think Io was trying for Hurricane Karana on Raquel, if I'm not mistaken. Raquel caught her, and remember that ladder that was placed on the bottom rope that draped the bottom rope through the 2 rings. Raquel powerbombs Io through the ladder on the center beam of this structure, and she makes the pinfall, and Team Candice wins because Raquel Gonzalez pins the women's champion, Io Shirai. There you go. I thought this was excellent. I thought this match really embodied what WarGames was. I thought this match had meaning. I thought this match had superiority written all over it. Who's vying for what position in the women's division? They're all looking for the same thing, and that is Io Shirai, and Raquel Gonzalez got the pin over Io Shirai. I don't like that Io Shirai was pinned. I don't like that any champion is pinned, but I would like to hope that NXT, I would like to hope Triple H has a plan in place for Io Shirai moving forward. There's a lot of moving pieces here. Io Shirai and Raquel Gonzalez could be the next match, depending on what happened tonight with her pinning the champion. We got Toni Storm and Ember Moon. We got Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae. Clearly that is teacher and student happening there. And we got Dakota Kai, always a threat in the women's division. Rhea Ripley, she's probably going to get called up to the main roster sooner rather than later. She'll probably be in the Royal Rumble and then stay on the main roster. But there's a lot of moving pieces here, man. Toni Storm was turned heel for one reason and one reason only. And that is to battle Ember Moon and give her her own spotlight and Ember Moon her own spotlight. And then when the match actually happens, Io has yet another great heel to work with. And there's a history there because that was the finals of the last Mae Young Classic. So there's a lot of moving pieces in this match that really made it stand out to me as compared to the men. So when you want to know why I thought that the women's match was better than the men's, that's the reason. I just enjoyed this more than the men's, and I felt like this had more meaning than the men's match did at the end of the show. So you got the heels winning this match. Team Candice wins, and they win the 2020 Women's WarGames match. Timothy Thatcher versus Tommaso Ciampa. This was the match that unfortunately had to follow the ladies on this night. I love Ciampa. I think Ciampa is great. I don't know what they're doing with Ciampa, but I know I'm not alone in this boat here. Ciampa, to me, I feel is better than whatever they have him doing right now. I think Ciampa right now is in that creative doesn't have much to do with Tommaso Ciampa right now kind of situation, and that's not right. That's not right. Timothy Thatcher, to me, is a great professional wrestler. This was a great wrestling match. If you guys enjoy wrestling, this was a great wrestling match. This was a stiff wrestling match. This was two guys who are complete and utter badasses going out there and kicking each other's ass. I don't know how you can't like that. There was blood in this match. Timothy Thatcher was apparently bleeding from the ear. I don't know how. I don't know from what. But this was a stiff brawl. And that's exactly what I appreciate from both of these guys. I love Ciampa. I think they should be doing more with him. But I don't know exactly why I should care about this feud. What exactly, and I mean this wholeheartedly, what exactly has happened here that I should care? You know, it's one thing to call this a great wrestling match, which it is. But when I made the comment on social media tonight, great match, I think Ciampa deserves better than what they got him doing right now. And in the end, I don't really get the great appeal of Timothy Thatcher. I said it on Twitter, I'm going to say it here again. I think Timothy Thatcher is fucking boring. I don't give a shit how great of a professional wrestler he is. Timothy Thatcher is boring. Then I get the people who say, oh, he reminds me of Bob Backlund. Why does he remind you of Bob Backlund? Because he wears the blue tights, the blue trunks? Bob Backlund had more charisma, believe it or not, than fucking Timothy Thatcher. Bob Backlund, as a heel, when he was feuding with Bret Hart over the WWE title, had more charisma than Timothy Thatcher. So why would you compare Bob Backlund and Timothy Thatcher? You can't compare them based on the fact that they wear the same color outfit or the same color ring attire. Timothy Thatcher is boring. And there's no reason for anybody to care about this match. This is just running through the motions, like I mentioned. WWE created for NXT, going through the motions. Champ is too good to not put on another TakeOver show. Let's put him on a TakeOver card. Timothy Thatcher, he's been on TV. There you go. We'll do Ciampa and Thatcher. Guarantee you that's how this match and this feud, whatever the fucking reason is they're feuding, came about. Nobody cares. No personality, no charisma, and no reason for me to care about what Timothy Thatcher does. I'm not going based on work rate here. I'm not. You can have great work rate, but you could also have a great character. You could have great work rate, but you could have something else that stands out about you. What else stands out about him? He's got a great look. He's got great work rate. He's got no character. He's got no fucking charisma. He's got no promo skills. Why am I going to care about Timothy Thatcher? Like everybody else. And then you got the shills, or you got some fucking geek in the chat who wants to say, oh, he's an AEW shill. He's only shitting on NXT because he's on Tony Khan's payroll. I'm not the only one that thinks that. Think back to what they had Ciampa doing 2 years ago. This is what you think Tommaso Ciampa should be doing? I don't give a fuck if the match was match of the year. What exactly does this feud mean to either one of these guys? Hopefully Ciampa's moved up to the main event level. It's too good to be fucking floating around this mid-card garbage with Timothy Thatcher. There was a lot of chain wrestling at the start of the bell. If you guys are enjoying that type of thing, then this is exactly what you want. Thatcher found an opening, landed some hard palm strikes. Everything was hard in this match. Went for an arm bar. They were both in the ropes. They briefly landed offense before they were backed up away from each other. Ciampa hit hammer fists before making Thatcher's leg the focus of his offensive attack in this match. Thatcher went outside. He was sent outside. But when he re-entered the ring, Thatcher then took Ciampa down with an uppercut. So Thatcher kept on the attack with suplexes before locking in a face lock, grounding Tommaso Ciampa early in this match. Ciampa's head was driven into the ring apron. So Thatcher, after that, hit a belly-to-belly suplex. And Ciampa fought out of another suplex attempt and attacked Thatcher with chops. Thatcher chopped him down to the mat. So Thatcher went for his butterfly suplex, but Ciampa backdropped him out of it. They exchanged forearm strikes until cracking headbutts simultaneously. Ciampa built momentum after that with a nice series of clotheslines before putting Thatcher on the top turnbuckle and landing a beautiful superplex for a 2 count. Ciampa went for the fairy tale ending, but Thatcher countered with a throat chop. Thatcher then applied a front sleeper as Ciampa started to fade, but Ciampa pushed both of them outside the ring. So he forced both of them to outside the ring. Ciampa barely made it back in when the referee started his 10 count. They both made it in at a 9 count. So he got a running knee strike allowed Ciampa to lock in a bulldog choke. Not only one running knee strike, two running knee strikes, bulldog choke. One of the knees busted open Thatcher's ear and was bleeding. All of a sudden, we seen the referee with his gloves on. All of a sudden, we seen blood in the ring. Thatcher reached for the ropes and flattened Ciampa with a German suplex. He hit another, and he started contemplating what he was going to do next. So they made their way to the ring apron. Ciampa fought out of a German suplex attempt on the ring apron, and he was taken down with a forearm. He caught Thatcher coming back in, and he went for Widow's Bell, but Thatcher dropped to the floor and bounced Ciampa off the ropes. Back in the ring, Ciampa went for a backslide, but Thatcher escaped to the apron, but Ciampa tied Thatcher up in the ropes, laid in some chops, and then out of nowhere hit Widow's Bell, absolutely planted Timothy Thatcher for the 1-2-3, and rightfully so. Tommaso Ciampa wins this match. This was a very good wrestling match. It was a little too wrestling heavy for my liking. And they actually picked up the intensity towards the middle and the end of this match. But again, I have to ask you guys, why should I care about what's going on here? There really isn't. There isn't anything on the level of Tommaso Ciampa that's going to get me interested in this. I could be a fucking super fan of Tommaso Ciampa, but I know when he's just in mediocrity for the sake of being in mediocrity, and I know when he's in something important. This, to me, was not important at all. This could have waited for NXT TV. This could have waited for Wednesday night on USA Network. Dexter Lumis. Dexter Lumis has been in this thing with Cameron Grimes. They were in a House of Horrors-like gimmick match at Halloween Havoc. And this was a strap match, which hopefully will end this feud once and for all. Dexter Lumis has been easily one of the best things on NXT TV. I'm glad that he's finally getting the shine that he deserves. Nobody plays his character as Dexter Lumis does. He plays it absolutely perfectly, man. When you look at the body of work that is being portrayed on NXT and you think of characters on this show, this is exactly what WWE needs. They need somebody like Dexter Lumis because Dexter Lumis is unlike anybody else. He's got a character. He's got charisma even though he doesn't say a fucking word. Dexter Lumis has it. He has everything. He doesn't need to cut a fucking promo. He's a fucking psychotic serial killer. He's a great in-ring performer. He's got a great look. And he plays his character and doesn't break that character for anything at all. This is exactly why I'm so high on Dexter Lumis. I don't see how you could possibly fuck this guy up. I always say, in the world of wrestling where everybody's the same, where you got one high-flying guy that looks like this high-flying guy, and you got this guy who's great in the ring, but he can't cut a promo, Dexter Lumis has a character. Dexter Lumis has it. And this is exactly what WWE needs when everybody feels the same. Everybody legitimately on Monday, on Friday, even on Wednesday now, everybody feels the same. It's guys like Dexter Lumis who stand out with what they're doing as far as their character goes that are going to rise above. And this is why I'm so high on him. Cameron Grimes, listen. I was not a big fan of Cameron Grimes when I first seen him. I thought he was very, not green. He's a great wrestler. I thought the character really wasn't where it needed to be. I really didn't get it. I didn't get where they were going with it. But he's got this obnoxious attitude about him that really is just genuinely, I enjoy it. It is enjoyable. And the sad thing is, when I look at Cameron Grimes, I see somebody who should make it because he's witty, he's charismatic, he's great in the ring, he's got a great look. But when I look at Cameron Grimes and I look at what is probably awaiting him on the main roster, I don't think the main roster is going to see anything in Cameron Grimes. That's my fucking fear. I fear everybody on this brand is not going to get what they truly deserve. No matter how good you are, once you get into the hands of Bruce, once you get into the hands of Vince, it's all over. It's either they like you or they don't like you. There's no in between. It's either they're going to give you an opportunity or they're going to leave you in catering. It's either you're going to get an opportunity or you're going to be chasing R-Truth for the 24/7 title. And that's exactly what I see Cameron Grimes doing on the main roster. But this match was great. This match was great. This was really physical. I think both guys have good stuff, but one better than the other. Dexter Lumis has everything he needs to succeed. Cameron Grimes, I feel like his ceiling is NXT, and that's sad. Dexter Lumis came out first with Grimes second. He was actually carrying his own leather strap. So he wanted his strap to be used, even though the referee had his official strap that was going to be used for this match. So he kept saying, no. We're going to use our strap, the strap that I got here. And if you don't use my strap, then the match doesn't begin. So the referee went to go ask Dexter Lumis if he had a problem using Grimes' strap, and Lumis didn't really give a shit. He didn't say anything at all. So Grimes all of a sudden attacked Dexter Lumis as soon as the referee asked him about the strap usage. The bell had not rung yet. Grimes threw Lumis into the barricades around ringside, choking Lumis with the strap. Grimes went to go while Lumis with the strap, or he went to go choke Lumis with the strap, but he evaded, beating on Grimes. So back into the ring. Luthez pressed by Dexter Lumis. Both men finally had the strap applied to their wrist, and the bell finally rang, and we have an official match here. Lumis was majority in control in the beginning of this match. At one point on the outside, Lumis was viciously Irish whipping Grimes into the barricade on the outside, and one of the Irish whips actually were taken off of its hinges with the force of this Irish whip by Dexter Lumis on Cameron Grimes. Grimes suplexed Lumis over the barricade to the concrete on the opposite side. Now, this was brutal stuff. Lumis rose from the dead, per se. He put his hand on the barricade. He was trying to get back into the match. Grimes, seeing him getting back up, Dexter Lumis stared at Cameron Grimes, and Grimes got so scared he yanked the strap, and Dexter Lumis flew over the barricade again towards the ringside area, and he was now in control. They were brawling in the timekeeper's area with Grimes choking Lumis out with the strap over his throat, over his eyes. Grimes then pulled out a black sack. He pulled out a black sack and he put it over Lumis' head. I believe this was the black sack that the referee had his official strap for this strap match in. So he took this black sack, he put it over Lumis' head, and it was very similar to their blindfold match on NXT TV a couple of weeks ago. Grimes was just swinging strike after strike on Lumis with the strap as he was blinded, taking the strap and whipping him over his back. Lumis somehow pulls off a spine buster in the ring on Grimes with the sack over his face. He takes the bag over his head off, but Grimes took advantage by taking the strap and pulling Lumis into the steel structure. There was a steel structure on the outside of the ring that was used for the WarGames cage. He pulled Lumis right into that, and that structure, like I said, on the outside went and was used for this move. Grimes went to punt kick Lumis. He caught it and yanked Grimes off the apron to the floor in a vicious spot where he just went splat on the outside. So imagine Cameron Grimes going for a punt kick and he missed it. Lumis backed away, yanked Grimes off the apron, and he flipped backwards onto the concrete on the outside. Really nice spot there. We're back in the ring. Grimes with a release German suplex into the top turnbuckle on Lumis. Grimes then with a chair beating on Lumis with it. Grimes then got cocky. I'm Cameron Grimes! Oh, Cameron Grimes! You know, he's getting cocky. Lumis with a fallaway slam. Both then were punching away at each other. Lumis goes to the top and Grimes yanks him off the top. Grimes then pulls Lumis into him to execute a beautiful Spanish fly for a 2 count. Grimes sat in the chair that he had set up, thinking that he had the advantage, again being cocky. But Lumis pulled the strap and Grimes fell face first into a chair. Lumis wrapped Grimes' legs up with the strap. Then, all the while, he transitioned into his silence submission move. Grimes tried to take the strap off of his wrist to escape this hold or maybe use it as a weapon. But Lumis further locked in the submission and he tapped out. And Dexter Lumis makes Cameron Grimes say, I tap. And that was it. Dexter Lumis, to me, man, after this, listen. Dexter Lumis, after he got done with Cameron Grimes here tonight, Cameron Grimes takes a spot down the card with Johnny Gargano, which we will get into in a second. Johnny Gargano is the new North American champion, okay? With Johnny Gargano and these ghost face guys, these ghost-faced goons running around helping him, which I don't really understand. I think it's kind of fucking lame for Johnny Gargano to be doing, but that's just me. I honestly see after this, Dexter Lumis being the next guy in line for the North American Championship. I really do. And I think it's about time we start thinking about getting him at that level. He's been doing great work. You look at the body work that Dexter Lumis has been doing all year. He has done fantastic. And I think come the new year, we start getting him to that next level. I think Dexter Lumis and Johnny Gargano for the North American Championship would be fucking fantastic. Johnny Gargano is at a level right now where he's just really, really comfortable with his heel role, with his heel persona. And he's really out there. He's very sarcastic. He's a different kind of charismatic. I always thought Johnny Gargano was charismatic in his own way. He was very Daniel Bryan-esque. But I think right now he's really digging down deep. And he's really showing you that he's having fun with this. So with Johnny Gargano's heel character right now, and Dexter Lumis, I presume, to be a babyface, I think the interaction between the two would be fucking great. I think Johnny Gargano would play well with Dexter Lumis. I think Dexter Lumis kind of stalking Candice LeRae and Johnny Gargano at their home. I think that would be really good and entertaining television. It's about time we start thinking about Dexter Lumis and elevating him to that next level. He beats Cameron Grimes here, rightfully so, and hopefully we see more out of Mr. Lumis moving forward. Easily my favorite act on all of NXT right now. Guys, we got 1,100 in the chat. We got 460 likes. Thank you so very much for tuning into the TakeOver. NXT TakeOver WarGames post show here on Off the Script. 460 likes. Let's get that up to 750. Before we get on out of here, super chats are open. So if you guys want to get in on those super chats, I will be taking them at the end of the show. So thank you guys very much, man. Shout out to my sponsor for tonight's show, man, Blue Chew. BlueChew.com. How many of you guys are absolutely disappointed with Bruce Pritchard and the way he's handling Monday Night Raw? I know you guys are not happy with that. If you're not happy with that, give me a 1 in the chat. I know Bruce leaves you unmotivated, man. Believe me. How many times did you look at your wife or your girlfriend after Monday Night Raw was over and say, honey, I just can't do it. I can't do it, man. Bruce Pritchard has just left me completely unmotivated, and I just want to go to sleep. His booking is so fucking terrible, man. I don't know what to do. Guys, I got a solution for you. It's Blue Chew. Blue Chew can take all of those worries and all of those Bruce Pritchard woes and put them to rest. Now you guys can increase your performance and get that extra confidence when Bruce Pritchard kills it for you. BlueChew.com. They bring you the first chewable with the same FDA-approved active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis. You guys can take them anytime, day or night, even on a full stomach. And since they're chewable, they work up to twice as fast, so you can be ready whenever the opportunity arises. If you guys think about it, man, you'd want to benefit more where it counts. That's where Blue Chew comes in. Blue Chew is the fast and easy way to enhance your performance. Blue Chew is also prescribed by licensed physicians online, so you guys don't have to go to the doctor's office or wait in line at the pharmacy. It ships right to your front door in a very discreet package. They're made in the USA, and since Blue Chew prepares and ships direct, they're also cheaper than a pharmacy, and best of all is no awkwardness. Right now, I've got a special deal for all of our listeners listening to the TakeOver Post Show right here on Off the Script. Visit BlueChew.com and get your first shipment free. Absolutely free, man, when you use code JD at checkout. That's code JD at checkout, BlueChew.com. All you guys have to do is pay the $5. Shipping and handling. Blue Chew is the better, cheaper, and faster choice, and I want to thank them for supporting Off the Script right here for your TakeOver post-show on your Sunday night, man. Thank you guys so very much for being here, and thank Blue Chew for being the sponsor right here on the podcast for the Sunday night TakeOver WarGames post-show. Moving on here, man. Leon Ruff versus Johnny Gargano versus Damien Priest. This is for the NXT North American Championship. Folks, if you watched Off the Script the last couple of weeks and you heard me talk about the North American Championship situation, why exactly did WWE give Leon Ruff the North American Championship? Was it because they found their next big up-and-coming superstar? The answer is no. Was it because they plan on pushing Leon Ruff as a major star on NXT? No. Was it because they had plans for Damien Priest or Johnny Gargano? No. Leon Ruff was given the North American Championship, folks, because Leon Ruff was given the North American Championship for absolutely no reason. Leon Ruff was given the North American Championship because somehow, some way, WWE thought that if they did a shock title change, that people would be interested in what's going on in NXT. That they would be interested in that night, in that moment, to maybe change the channel from whatever AEW was doing. Did it work? No. The only thing that WWE did when they gave Leon Ruff the North American title was kill the North American title for at least a couple of weeks. Now it's back in the rightful hands of Johnny Gargano, and now we can start all over again and start the rehabilitation process of the North American title. You see, what WWE did with the North American title, man, they devalued it just as bad as the Intercontinental title, just as bad as the U.S. title, just as bad as the 24/7 title. When they put it in the hands of Leon Ruff, it was no better than the 24/7 title. No better than the 24/7 title. That's exactly the type of guy Leon Ruff is. Look at Leon Ruff. I'm not taking anything away from him. He's a talented guy. He's a very good wrestler. But I want you guys to be realistic with me, man. And this is just not me shitting on somebody for the sake of shitting on somebody. Look at Leon Ruff. Where exactly do you think he's going? Do you see this guy benefiting from this somewhere down the line? Do you think Vince McMahon's going to give a shit about this North American title victory over Johnny Gargano? Leon Ruff is a future WWE champion now. Says who? Says who? He has one title reign under his belt, and that's the only title reign he will ever see in WWE that actually matters. This guy is a joke. He's a joke. Leon Ruff is the type of guy Vince McMahon looks at and absolutely fucking buries just because he looks like Leon Ruff. Where exactly do you think he's going? Seriously. Well, I don't want to be negative here. I don't want to be nasty. But if I'm signing people to my brand, Leon Ruff is the type of guy I overlook. What exactly is there as far as money-making opportunities for Leon Ruff? What exactly is there as Leon Ruff being on the roster? What type of memories are you going to make with Leon Ruff? What type of story are you going to tell with Leon Ruff that is believable? How could you actually get people to care about Leon Ruff? What exactly did WWE do to make you care about Leon Ruff in this situation? Nothing. Nothing. The guy was a jobber on Monday Night Raw and SmackDown whenever they called upon him. The last time I seen this guy, he was being buried by Karrion Kross when Karrion Kross made his first initial debut on NXT TV. That's the type of guy you want to put in the ring against Johnny Gargano and have him beat Johnny Gargano for the North American title after Damien Priest beat Keith Lee for the North American Championship? What you did with the North American Championship is ruin it. That title was held in high regard. Everything you've done with that title, you put it on people that actually elevated the title and elevated themselves because of it. What you did is actively destroy all of that momentum by putting on the show that you did with Leon Ruff and having him beat Johnny Gargano. You ruined all of that momentum. You ruined all of that momentum for the North American title, and now you got to start all over again. Shock and awe doesn't work. Especially not with guys like Leon Ruff. That's not the type of shock and awe that's going to make people change the fucking channel. Why would you do something? Then it was later reported that they had no plans for Leon Ruff moving forward. Why would you book something like that and book that title change with no plans in place? I don't get it. I'm not watching Monday Night Raw. Would you ever hear a report like that out of the old NXT? Oh yeah, they just did something and they have no fucking plans for it moving into the future. I know I wouldn't. I don't recall ever reporting anything like that in the old NXT. Johnny Gargano is too good to be in this bullshit with Leon Ruff. Damien Priest is too good to be in this bullshit with Leon Ruff. WWE has had absolutely no plans for the North American title, which is the very definition of this match. They realized that putting the title on Leon Ruff was a failure, and this was their out of their creative failure. Yet, continuing Johnny Gargano and Damien Priest when it should have been over. When it should have been long over. This match was fine. Leon Ruff in a triple threat match is a little bit more believable than Leon Ruff in a one-on-one match with Johnny Gargano or Leon Ruff in a match with Damien Priest. So him being in this triple threat match was a little bit more believable than him being in a one-on-one match with either one of these guys. The match was good. The match was fun. But the match was ridiculous. Ridiculous. They did everything possible to make you believe that this kid was going to overcome the odds. They overbooked the shit out of this thing with the fucking ghost face bullshit at the end of the match. That's where the ridiculous comes into play. But in the end, the right guy won. And Johnny Gargano is now a 3-time North American champion. So it was very energetic. It was slightly innovative with a ridiculous ending. Leon Ruff was actually pulled out of this match at one point to make you believe he was going to make the big babyface comeback. Nobody believes. Leon Ruff is not the type of guy that you're going to make people believe in, bro. Priest was sent outside right away as Gargano laid into Ruff with some big moves. Ruff used some springboards to evade offense before using some of those springboards to hit a Hurricane Rana. Priest told Ruff to get out of his way. This is not where you belong. This is between me and Johnny. Get out of my ring. Sent him outside, but Ruff fired back with a diving dropkick on both Gargano and Damien Priest. Priest wouldn't fight Ruff, but Ruff attacked with kicks on Priest. It looked like Priest would hit Ruff with a chokeslam, but Gargano stopped it as he and Leon Ruff attacked Damien Priest 2-on-1. Gargano took out Priest with a dive and told Ruff to do the same, but it was all a ploy as Gargano cut him off with a slingshot spear. Priest pulled Gargano to the outside and caught Ruff coming in off a dive. Ruff ignored Priest's demands, and Priest hit a razor's edge on Ruff that landed him through a plexiglass barricade that then forcefully knocked over the barricade that was standing next to it. So this was pretty cool. The officials came in to check on Leon Ruff as Priest was concerned, quote-unquote, for Leon Ruff. Ruff was taken to the back, and this match was now a one-on-one match with Gargano and Priest, with Gargano taking advantage of this with a tornado DDT on the floor to Damien Priest. Gargano went for one final beat on the ramp, but Priest cut it off and landed a spinning heel kick for a 2 count. Gargano avoided a razor's edge and landed a sliced bread for a 2 count. They then avoided each other's strikes before Gargano hit some kicks. Priest fired up and hit Gargano with a lariat, in which both guys were then down for the count. Ruff all of a sudden came back in. He ran back in. He landed a dive on Gargano. He laid in, ground and pound while keeping Priest into the corner before hitting him with a step-up dive. And both guys were on the floor. Back in the ring, Ruff hit a nice springboard cutter on Gargano for a 2 count. And then he went back up to the top rope again. Gargano then popped up and pulled Ruff down off the top. Gargano had, I believe, a bloody nose or a lip. I really couldn't tell. Referee had his white gloves on. Ruff used I don't know what he did. I think it was like a Tyler Driver 98 or something like that. I don't remember what it was. I might have had my head down. But he flattened Gargano with actually, no, it wasn't a Tyler Driver 98. He did the Tyler Bate, I'm thinking of Tyler Bate's moves. He did that bounce off the rope that Tyler Bate does. He bounces off the ropes head first, and then he slingshots himself into a clothesline. That's what Leon Ruff did to Gargano. It looked really good. So he did a Tyler Bate-esque clothesline to Johnny Gargano. Got a 2 count on him. He went back up top. Priest was up. He was in the way. Priest said that Ruff was out of chances, and he downed Ruff with a big boot before hitting him with a flatliner. And he not only hit Leon Ruff with a flatliner, but he hit Johnny Gargano with a flatliner at the same time. Double flatliner by Damien Priest on Leon Ruff and Johnny Gargano. Priest went to the corner, and he was hitting body splashes on both Ruff and Gargano. And Gargano escaped a razor's edge, posted Priest's shoulders into the post before sending Ruff into Priest with a long dart. Gargano tied up Priest in the other ring's ropes. Remember, there's 2 rings. So he went into the other ring and tied Damien Priest up in that ring's ropes. So he was taken out of the match for a little bit. So Ruff hit a crucifix bomb for a very close near fall on Gargano. Ruff climbed the ropes, but Gargano rolled out of the way of a frog splash and locked in the Gargano escape. Priest then all of a sudden got himself out of the ropes. He escaped and broke up the submission before climbing the top ropes and hit a beautiful spinning heel kick on Gargano. Ruff avoided a corner splash. Priest shrugged off some clotheslines from Ruff. Gargano landed a super kick, but Priest turned the one final beat into a beautiful chokeslam. All of a sudden, we got 3 ghost face masked men coming out here. Priest fought all of them off. Then all of a sudden, another 3 come out, and they appear. And Priest took them out with the step-up dive that he usually does to the outside. Priest then landed a corner tope on the other first 3 guys. So Priest was all over the place, man. Priest was great here. Priest is great, man. When Priest gets called up to the main roster, he's another guy. I don't know how you could possibly fuck up Damien Priest, man. The guy is great. He really is. For a guy his size, he's got he's got the mic skills, he's got the look, he's got the ring entrance, he's got it. He's the next Aleister Black. He'll be fucked up. He'll be fucked up. So, Damien Priest took out all of these guys. Obviously, Gargano tried to take advantage of these guys helping him try to win the match. But Priest caught a dive attempt and slammed Gargano down. Ruff landed a frog splash on Gargano, but Priest barely broke up the cover. So Ruff was fighting Damien Priest one-on-one. Priest flattened him with a spinning knee. Priest caught Gargano and went for the reckoning. And Gargano hit a thrust kick, but Priest hit a cyclone kick. Priest set up for the reckoning again, but another ghost-faced masked man appeared, jumped on the apron, and hit Damien Priest with a lead pipe. Ruff tried to take advantage with a roll-up on Gargano, but Gargano kicked out. Gargano then hit the one final beat to pin Leon Ruff and win the North American Championship. The guy with the steel pipe, the guy who helped Gargano win the North American title for a 3rd time, none other than Austin Theory. Austin Theory is back. And Austin Theory is now aligned with Johnny Gargano. I think this is great. I think that pairing is great. You got Candice paired up with Indy Hartwell. She's young and up and coming. Austin Theory, he's got the look. He's got the in-ring ability. He's 23 years old. They got all the talent in the world, both of them. Austin Theory was called up to the main roster. They didn't do anything with him. He wouldn't have went anywhere, really. You know? He was brought back to NXT, took a little bit of time away. Now he's back. But it seems like Johnny is tutoring Austin Theory, and Candice is tutoring Indy Hartwell. We got our own little Gargano family way. So they're taking members of the NXT roster and they're molding them into what they think is the proper vision for NXT. I think that's great. I think Austin Theory being teamed with Johnny Gargano is fucking awesome. What better guy to learn from than Johnny Gargano? Austin Theory was never going to go anywhere right now on his own. What is his character? What is he? Who is he? Now that he's paired with Johnny Gargano, now he's got a reason. Now they can give him some backstory. Now that they could give him this type of role, it's going to solidify him moving forward. He has all the talent in the world to move forward, but at what speed would he move forward on his own? I think being paired with a veteran like that on NXT is only going to help him and help Indy Hartwell. Because right now, both of them, Candice and Johnny, if you want to talk about heels in NXT, they're at the top of the whole roster. And what better place for both of them to be than at the top? I think this is a great move. Austin Theory is with Johnny Gargano, and I think that is the right move to make here for Austin Theory moving forward. NXT has its next TV special. And I want to read you a backstory on this because Salrex actually sent me this article, man. WWE has announced January 6, 2021 as New Year's Evil. That is Wednesday, January 6th, and that is the next NXT TV special. It's called New Year's Evil. Now, you guys remember WCW. I'm sure you do. Triple H has used a lot of their gimmicks to help counter AEW. Now, if you guys were big fans of WCW, one of the biggest failures in WCW history was the Kiss Demon. The Kiss Demon debuted on August 23rd, 1999 on Monday Nitro after Kiss played their song, God of Thunder. Now, the Kiss Demon was originally portrayed by Bryan Adams, and he was booked to begin a long feud with Vampiro. The two would battle each other for months, which would ultimately culminate on pay-per-view on Friday, December 31st, 1999. The original idea for the pay-per-view, according to Eric Bischoff, was from his boss, Dr. Harvey Schiller. Schiller suggested hosting a big show on pay-per-view on the final year before the new millennium for the year 2000. The event was to be called New Year's Evil. WCW had a New Year's Evil show planned that never became a reality. Triple H is taking a failed WCW concept and bringing it to life in 2021 because this year has been evil and we're turning the new year over and looking back at the evil year that was 2020. He's taking another failed WCW concept and using it to battle AEW on Wednesday night because AEW had Winter is Coming. AEW has Bash at the Beach coming up, or Beach Bash coming up in January. Leave it to WWE to, again, make everything about combating AEW. That's all they could do, folks. That's all they could do. Take a failed WCW concept or a WCW concept of old, let it breathe new life into NXT, and then use it to battle AEW. And the only time NXT wins the ratings war, how many of these do they do all year? Maybe 5, maybe 6. These are the only times that AEW loses to NXT. So there you go. There you go. Thanks to Salrex for getting me that, because I had no fucking idea. So I figured you guys would get a kick out of that. The main event. WarGames, Undisputed Era. Adam Cole, Roderick Strong, Kyle O'Reilly, and Bobby Fish against Team McAfee, the kings of NXT, Pat McAfee himself, Pete Dunn, Oney Lorcan, and Danny Burch. This was a very good main event. Went a little bit too long for my liking. There really wasn't anything important behind it. Like I mentioned in the beginning, that doesn't mean it was bad, but there wasn't anything important. You're not going to look back at this and say, this was a turning page for NXT. This was something that shifted the foundation of NXT from one position to another position. It didn't do anything like that. It was just here. It just existed. It was 8 guys that WWE put in a ring to sell a WarGames match that probably had you saying, well, this really didn't need to be a WarGames match. Which, again, the discussion at the beginning of the show is, does WarGames need to happen on a yearly basis just because it's November or just because it's December? I think WWE could do something else to really have a consistent pay-per-view yearly schedule with a themed show. If WWE isn't doing King of the Ring, then NXT should adopt King of the Ring. We don't need WarGames every fucking year. If this is what it's going to result in, we don't need WarGames every single year. But the match was fine. All 8 of these guys busted their fucking ass tonight. I just didn't really understand the reason behind it or what the importance of this match was moving forward. So, we got Kyle O'Reilly and Pete Dunne to start the first 5 minutes. After that, we had the heels in this instance, which is usually the case. Minus the Shotzi, Team Shotzi situation, they had the advantage. But the heels in this match, because Pete Dunne beat Kyle O'Reilly in that ladder match a couple of weeks back, they had the heel advantage here. So Kyle O'Reilly and Pete Dunne started this thing. So the seconds in, I believe, was Oney Lorcan, if I'm not mistaken. So Oney Lorcan came in. He entered the match, and it was a 2-on-1 situation. After that, we had Bobby Fish come out. He was the next in, so we got Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly versus Pete Dunne and Oney Lorcan. He fought off both guys and suplexed Dunn into Lorcan. He flattened Lorcan with a spine buster, sent Dunn into the middle steel gap that was in between both rings. Fish and O'Reilly then down Lorcan with a DDT into a German suplex. Dunn tried to stop all of this, but he was taken care of. O'Reilly wrestled with Lorcan. Fish wrestled with Dunn. Danny Burch entered the match next, so we got the heels with a 3-on-2 advantage. So Burch grabbed a bag with cricket bats inside, and he was in the ring. He and Dunn beat down the Undisputed Era with cricket bats. Burch taunted O'Reilly and was about to crack him over the head with a bat, but O'Reilly surprised him with a heel hook as Burch wanted to tap out. He was, in fact, tapping, but the match doesn't officially begin until all the guys are in the ring. Dunn broke up the submission with a diving stomp, and Burch nailed O'Reilly with the cricket bat. Roderick Strong came out next. He was immediately laid out by Lorcan, so the heels were all over the babyfaces here. He was laid out by Lorcan and Burch. Strong then came back with a babyface comeback with some clotheslines and some chops before hitting Dunn with a beautiful backbreaker, and Burch with an Olympic slam. Strong hit strikes on all 3 guys. He was cut off and sent headfirst into the steel structure by Oney Lorcan. Team McAfee was in control, and McAfee was the final entrant in WarGames for his team, leaving only Adam Cole for Undisputed Era. McAfee brought in 4 tables. This was a workout in itself. McAfee brought in 4 tables. They all had the names of the Undisputed Era on them. O'Reilly had his own table. Fish, Cole, and Strong all had their own tables. He also brought in chairs, and he finally entered the ring after this slight workout on the outside. McAfee went to the top rope as his gang, or goons, set up Strong on a table. McAfee's first move was a picture-perfect top rope moonsault through Strong on his table. And I got to admit, man, Pat McAfee did a beautiful moonsault. Absolutely beautiful moonsault. Picture perfect was the exact wording I put in my notes. Picture perfect. So Adam Cole was finally in the match. He was the final entrant. The buzzer went off. He grabbed a fire extinguisher at ringside. He used it on the Kings of NXT. He ran wild on Dunn, on Lorcan, and on Burch, and the match officially begins. Cole and McAfee were the only two guys standing. Dunn popped up between them. Dunn and Cole have a small history with each other. Dunn flattened Cole with a forearm smash, laid in some stomps. Cole countered a bitter end into a DDT, which looked great. McAfee caught Cole from behind, allowing Dunn to try to break Cole's fingers, but O'Reilly stopped him with a vicious chair shot. O'Reilly was talking trash to McAfee, accusing him of playing pro wrestler. You're now in WarGames. You're in WarGames with Undisputed Era. I'll even give you a free hit. So hit me. Come here and face me and hit me, he says. McAfee was about to start a fight, but Cole, from behind, while he was distracted by the trash talking of O'Reilly, was nailed by Cole in the back with a steel chair. So the match broke down. All 8 men were brawling with each other. Undisputed Era got the advantage until Dunn attacked Fish from behind. Fish turned the X-Plex from Pete Dunne into a sleeper. I love the X-Plex, man. Fucking great. Lorcan broke it up with a blockbuster. O'Reilly landed a knee strike, but Lorcan broke up the pinfall. Lorcan and Burch hit Magic Killer on O'Reilly. Fish broke up the pin. Things were breaking down. Cole had the advantage until McAfee cut him off with a chop block from behind. McAfee then locked in a figure 4 as his teammates were trying to block Undisputed Era from entering the second ring. McAfee had Cole in the figure 4 while all the other guys on his team were blocking Undisputed Era from getting into the other ring. Great spot. Great spot. Adam Cole did not tap, though. So we got that, and eventually things broke down again. So we got Cole here with the advantage, chop block. No, actually, I'm sorry. I'm all over the place here. Lorcan and Burch set up a table with Cole's name on it, and they were cut off by Strong and Fish. Dunn caught a Cole super kick and turned it into an armbar, but Cole forced Dunn's shoulders onto the mat, so Dunn had to break. Cole then hit a Ushigoroshi for a near fall. Cole set up a table and looked to superplex Dunn through it, but Fish and Strong put Burch on a table and tried to powerbomb Dunn through it. The table did not break, so Strong dove off to make the table break with a splash, and he went through Dunn and Burch, eventually breaking the table. McAfee tried to take advantage and attack Cole, but Cole sent him flying through a table. Dunn, Lorcan, and Burch were all forced between the ropes and the cage, and Undisputed Era each hit a strike on all 3 men. McAfee was the only member of his team left standing. He tried to climb out of the cage. Undisputed Era stopped him. He took turns tossing him into the cage, or they took turns tossing him into the cage. They tried to really go after him and really punish him. And Pete Dunne, Oney Lorcan, and Danny Burch re-entered, and they regained control. It was very back and forth at this point. Everybody climbed all of the turnbuckles, various turnbuckles in the match. Lorcan nailed a diving uppercut on Fish. Cole hit a top rope neck breaker on Dunn. Strong hit a superplex on McAfee. Again, all 8 guys were down. Crazy. Look, like everybody started to brawl. And then McAfee, all of a sudden, I don't know where the fuck he was during all of this melee, all of this chaos. He was climbing up the cage, and he was standing on top of the steel cage. I even said before the show started, the reason why this match is going on last is because something crazy is going to happen at the end, and I'm pretty sure something crazy is going to involve Pat McAfee. So Pat McAfee's up on top of WarGames, and he jumps off, and he hits a senton, Jeff Hardy style, onto all 7 guys down below. And my God, man, I use the word hit very loosely. I don't know what had happened there, but Pat McAfee took one hell of a fucking splash on the mat, jumping off WarGames with that senton. It's almost as if everybody in that ring kind of let him hit hard way just because of who he is, with him being in that match and him thinking he's a pro wrestler and him thinking that he's as their equal in that match. It's almost as if they let him pay just a little bit because of who he is and him being in this type of match with everybody else when all of these guys legitimately have paid their dues and Pat McAfee has not done anything close to that. I may be wrong, but he took a sick dive off that rope and he barely hit any of those guys down below. I'm just saying. Brutal stuff. Dunn and O'Reilly faced off. They exchanged hard way strikes. Dunn snapped O'Reilly's fingers. He hit the bitter end. O'Reilly kicked out of a great near fall there by Pete Dunne. O'Reilly hit a brain buster on Dunn on the steel between the two rings, but Dunn kicked out for another near fall. O'Reilly set Dunn up on a chair. He went up top. Pat McAfee cut him off with a hard chair shot. He tried to attack Cole with the chair, but Cole avoided it and grabbed the chair himself. McAfee countered a chair shot with a low blow, but Cole hit a pump kick. Cole wanted a Panama Sunrise. Burch tried to interfere. Strong tackled him through a table. Cole tried for Panama Sunrise of his own, but Cole cut it off with a super kick and hit a Panama Sunrise for a 2 count. Cole went for the last shot, but Lorcan got in the way and took it before Dunn hit Cole with the bitter end through a chair. O'Reilly, finishing strong, then took care of Dunn before hitting high-low through a chair on Lorcan. O'Reilly then hit Lorcan with a diving knee drop through the chair to win WarGames and Undisputed Era win the main event as the show goes off the air. Now, the one thing I don't like about this ending is Adam Cole doing Panama Sunrise. First of all, Pat McAfee went for Panama Sunrise, and he didn't get it. Cole took him out. Then Cole went up top to do Panama Sunrise, and he got a Panama Sunrise of his own. And he nailed a Panama Sunrise on Pat McAfee, and Pat McAfee kicked out of the Panama Sunrise. Now, I don't really understand why that match did not end with that spot. Why did we need O'Reilly hitting a knee lift on Oney Lorcan to end the match? That's my only criticism here, outside of what I already stated about why the match doesn't really feel important to me. Why didn't that match end with that Panama Sunrise on Pat McAfee? I can't watch this and believe Pat McAfee, a non-wrestler, is going to kick out of Adam Cole's signature maneuver. Now, it might not be his finishing move. We all know the last shot is his finishing move, but Adam Cole has finished people off with Panama Sunrise before. So why is it that Pat McAfee gets to kick out of Panama Sunrise and that is not the ending of the match? I don't really get it. I did not like that at all. But the Undisputed Era win in the end. Very good WarGames match. I don't know if I would put it up there with the others that we've seen. Maybe as far as work rate goes. Maybe as far as intensity goes. Maybe as far as length goes. But the other matches to me, the first one is always going to hold a special place in my heart because that's the first time WWE has entered WarGames. It was not even their concept. It was a WCW concept. Then the second one. The second one also holds a place in my heart because Undisputed Era was part of a storyline where they were pretty much losing all of their championship. They were losing their grip on power. So when I look at this one and I compare it to the other two that we've seen, it really pales in comparison just based on what it meant to the overall state of NXT. I just felt like this one was there, and it was great, and it was physical, and it was intense, and everybody in that match killed it. But these matches mean more when there's a meaning behind it. This match means more when there's a story behind it. The story of Pat McAfee and Adam Cole, it doesn't mean anything to us. What does it mean to you? Why should you care about it? Is it going to change the foundation of NXT? No, it's not. It's just something that was there because WWE needed a WarGames match. That's pretty much it. Undisputed Era wins. Very good match. The importance of it, though, it remains to be seen. Guys, that is your TakeOver review. If you enjoyed the show, let me know what you think down below in the comments. Thank you guys for making me hopefully number one for the evening. We're going to read through some super chats right now, man. Appreciate you all. If you came for the review and you want to head on out, I'll see you for Monday Night Raw tomorrow. If not, you are more than welcome to stay and hang out with us, man. Appreciate you. Hit that thumbs up. Super chats are open now. We're going to read through the super chats. Follow me on Twitter at JD from NY206. That's on Twitter and Instagram. Hit that subscribe button down below and turn on that bell for all notifications, man. We got the Dud with $2. $2 super chat, man. Who is better, Pat McAfee or David Arquette? Pat McAfee by a country mile. EJ with a $4.99 super chat. Hit that like button, jabronis. Absolutely. Bradley Robinette with a $2 super chat. WWE needs to bring fans back by the Royal Rumble. I said it on Off the Script on Saturday, and I mean it. Fans need to be at the Tropicana Field in January on that Sunday for the Royal Rumble. Jacob Donnelly with a $10 super chat. What's up, brother? I didn't watch WarGames, but I always am here to support you. Glad to see Cross is coming back, and maybe I'll start NXT again when its main event scene starts to feel legit again. Bro, I won't even put Cross in NXT. I'd have him go straight to the main roster. That's just me, though. Ostro, 1980 with a $5 super chat. Is it fair to say that maybe we've just outgrown what WWE has to offer? We all watch reruns of our favorite shows. It's pointless to compare eras. Bro, we wouldn't outgrow WWE if they were constantly putting on good television. I'm a grown adult with a very keen sense of what is good and what is bad. If WWE was creating good television, then we'd watch. The reason why WWE is suffering right now and there's a lack of interest in the product is because the storylines and creative sucks. It all starts with creative, man. There's a nice wave of momentum when creative is good. When creative is bad, everything in and around the company suffers. Believe me, if WWE had good creative, everything else would be up. And Mr. Cake with a $5 super chat. Great show. The McAfee spot in my head was what I wanted Jeff Hardy to do for a WarGames match, should he ever do one. Yeah, the thing with that is, man, you know, the WarGames matches, I honestly think we've seen pretty much everything that we could see in a WarGames match. I mean, what haven't we seen? We've seen EO moonsault. We've seen Adam Cole jump off WarGames. We've seen Pat McAfee jump off WarGames with a senton. We've seen Tommaso Ciampa air raid crash Adam Cole through a table off WarGames. Well, like, what else could we possibly see? Before you know it, WWE is going to be at a position or in a position when it comes to WarGames where they're just rehashing what we've already seen. And at that point, it even makes me more right in the end. Do we need to see this every year where you're constantly blowing through feuds and matches and putting on shit for the sake of putting on shit and you're running through spots? How many times have we seen that Shawn Michaels spot inside Hell in a Cell? I mean, they did it with Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton this year. It's fucking terrible, man. It's the same shit. How many years of Hell in a Cell, man, could you really appreciate? You would appreciate it more if it was once in a blue, not every fucking year. When it's every year, WWE blows through the spots and they have nothing else to do, man. There's not any innovation. There's no ingenuity. Just doing it for the sake of doing it. Listen, man, TakeOver WarGames was good. I'm surprised they fit both rings inside the Capitol Wrestling Center with the cage. They did a very good job of setting it up. But just like everything else, man, just like AEW, just like Raw, just like SmackDown, just like NXT on weekly USA Wednesday night, you know, it's all the same. They're all emanating these shows out of the same building, man. There's no life. There's no life, even though there are human beings there. There's no life there. Anyway, guys, I'm getting out of here. Hopefully you enjoyed the review. I kept it short tonight. Hour and 40 minutes. Whatever, man. If you guys enjoyed it, let me know what you think down below. Follow me on Twitter at JD from NY206. That's on Twitter and Instagram. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on that bell for all notifications and leave that thumbs up, man. I'm looking outside. I'm looking at the Mustang. You guys know what time it is, man. Windows are down. Turn that volume knob up to max. Give me those guitar emojis in the chat. I got my cold beverage. I'm getting out of here, man. Thank you guys so very much for joining me on the TakeOver post show. And I'll see you guys for Monday Night Raw.